Okay, so game one of the 2024 Major League Baseball London Series has concluded between the Mets and the Phillies. The Phillies have taken game one 7-2. The New York Mets were listed as the home team. The Philadelphia Phillies will be the home team tomorrow. Bit of a slow burner until the fourth inning where the Phillies exploded with two home runs. They would hit three home runs in the game. The Mets, no home runs. So that was it was refreshing to see more home runs in game one this year than the two games last year. I think they actually had more home runs in one game so far than last year's London series over both games between the Cubs and the Cardinals. So that got the crowd a little bit more involved with the home runs. Bryce Harper, a lot of people obviously wanted to see him. He gets a home run. Whit, Merrifield got a home run as well, both in the fourth inning, and Nick Castellanos got his home run in the eighth inning. He's been under the spotlight for being a bit inconsistent with his form, but you can see the struggles the Mets are having in both pitching and batting. They were not on the same level as the Phillies, even though they did take that early lead in the first three innings. They were 1-0 up, and then the Phillies exploded in the fourth inning, and then control of the game was in the Phillies' corner. They could control the tempo and the pitching lineups, and they won the arm wrestle on that fourth inning. In the second half of the game, it was the Phillies to lose, and they just tightened their grip, get that third home run, and then it was all over after that. Things I took out the game: the pitching clock. Was very, very noticeable how that actually sped up the game. I think this game one flowed better than the two games I watched last year. I think that sped up play a little bit. Playing it slightly earlier in June than last year, slightly cooler temperatures, I think that's benefited the play. We saw more home runs. I will say this, scoring is still down on 2019. The 2019 scoring was absolutely ridiculous. We might see some high scoring tomorrow. We might see the Phillies take complete control of the series and really blitz the Mets tomorrow. We have to see a response from the Mets tomorrow. It will be interesting to see how that game two plays out with an earlier start time in similar conditions. So again, the temperatures high teens, low 20s. When it comes to Celsius, I think it peaked at around 19 to 21 degrees Celsius in the game today. So much cooler than last year, about 15 degrees cooler than last year's games, which I think has benefited the players a little bit. And the crowd number was a lot better this year. Last year we saw a lot of fans either leaving early or a lot of empty seats. Not so this year. The fans were more engrossed in the game. The game flowed a lot better. Pitching was quicker, so there was a quicker turnaround when it came to pitching. Things that I think the broadcaster and the broadcasters and Major League Baseball can do better. There were in between changes of pitches or batting lineups when one team's batted their inning and the other team's coming out to bat. When they cut away to do a little segment, they actually missed some pitches, which didn't prove crucial as a viewer this time round. So there was no home runs missed or anything like that. But there's that potential. So getting those broadcast timings right where they go away to what would be an ad break over in the US, but over here they go to a snippet where they have a little, not quite like a little documentary piece. When they come back, they did miss some pitches and some hits, but they didn't miss any home runs. So that's something they could do better. Other than that, I think it was a better experience watching it this year so far than last year. The atmosphere seemed a lot better. I do think playing the games earlier in June, I think, benefits the crowd numbers. Later in June into July, all the schools and colleges and universities finish their end of year exams. A lot of people go on holiday overseas. So I do think having it earlier in June, I think, benefited. It was very positive to see a lot of families there. We'll have to see the numbers of local fans and fans that have come in from the US. We do know that there were a lot of fans, especially from Philadelphia, coming in to watch the games in London. So it'll be interesting to see the percentage of American fans in the stadium to local London residents or people local to the UK and Europe, in attendance. I think I was having a quick look at last minute ticket prices. I think they were quite reasonable. I think the Major League Baseball has realised ticket prices is crucial to this event. Another thing that I noticed is obviously playing it the game one the same day as the Challenge Cup final. I know they were very, very conscious of not wanting to clash with the Euros that kick off next weekend. And of course, the Champions League final was played last weekend, so they've been very, very conscious of not clashing with other major sporting events. Unfortunately, they did clash with the Challenge Cup final, which was again on free-to-air broadcast on the BBC. And again, with the broadcast, they could do a little bit better with making it a little bit more accessible on the BBC website. If you wish to watch that, ad-free, if you obviously have TNT Sports, obviously you have that subscription and the option to watch there with different commentary, which is fine. But I think, that's a potential clash where a lot of the TV audience, potentially of sports fans, would have been watching the Challenge Cup final. There's also a lot of other sporting events taking place right now at this time of the summer. I understand the scheduling though, so it was on a hiding to nothing really with a catch-22 when it came to the scheduling. They were going to clash with something, and I think Major League Baseball realised they would rather clash with the Rugby League than the European Football Championships. And to have it on the same day as the Champions League final was a big no-no. Again, TV audience, both domestically here in the UK and also domestically in the US. The Champions League final does have a rather large TV viewership in the US, so they decided last year this was the gap, this 1 week gap that they had to get these games played. I think they've scheduled it as well as they could, in consideration to where last year they scheduled it later in the summer, temperatures were hotter, and I did think that had a negative impact on the game. Scoring was lower. The scoring was a lot better today, but very, very noticeable with home runs. Now, as I say, the scoring is still down on 2019, so it'll be interesting to see what the scoring's like tomorrow, in tomorrow's game, with an earlier start time, with similar temperatures, with the potential of a few showers floating around. There could be a little bit of rain, so that could be quite interesting how that plays into impacting the play if there is a pop-up shower. I don't think the rain showers will be overly heavy, but there's that potential for some rain floating around at any point tomorrow, although the likelihood is a 1 in 3 chance. So very changeable conditions tomorrow, but similar temperatures, high teens, low 20s. But yeah, I think it was a very enjoyable game, a lot more enjoyable than last year's games. And maybe that's because of the scheduling, moving it slightly earlier in the summer, slightly cooler temperatures. I think that did have a positive impact on the play. So there we go. The Phillies have won 7-2 over the Mets in game one. We'll see what tomorrow's game brings. Will the scoring be higher? Will it be similar? Will the Mets get any home runs? Will the Phillies continue with their pitching and batting dominance, which was clearly evident after the fourth inning when they took control of the game? And we'll see how it plays out. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the Major League Baseball London series, and do you think it's been a success so far in the 3 editions we've had? And what does Paris offer us next year and London in 2026? Is this a long-term plan for Major League Baseball to continue not only with London but also Paris and alternate? And we'll see how it plays out. We know that they are committed for at least another series in 2026. We'll see what happens post 2026 if they continue to come back to London. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I'll have some more content for you guys very, very soon.